The General George S. Patton Memorial Museum in Chiriaco Summit, California, is a museum erected in tribute to General George S. Patton on the site of the entrance of Camp Young, part of the Desert Training Center of World War II. Exhibits include a large collection of tanks used in World War II and the Korean War, as well as memorabilia from Patton's life and career, especially in regard to his service at the Desert Training Center and from soldiers who trained there. Though Patton spent less than 4 months at the Desert Training Center, his establishment of the training grounds directly impacted more than 1 million troops. In addition, a 26-minute video was shown detailing Patton's military service and the creation of the Desert Training Center. What follows are a few segments from that video explaining the Desert Training Center, followed by a tour of the Matzner Tank Pavilion.
Nevertheless, Patton insisted on Spartan facilities that mirrored field conditions. So there were no barracks, no mess halls, nothing permanent, just tents.
There was no place to relax. There was no kitchens. Eating out in the desert, finding a place a rock to sit down on,
Once settled in camp, the men trained from morning until night. Pilots practiced bombing, strafing, aerial combat, and troop support maneuvers, while tankers learned battlefield tactics and techniques, making use of the wide open spaces. Engineering battalions constructed camps, airfields, and other facilities. Supply units learned to operate within vast distances. And the foot soldier, he learned how to attack the enemy, to take and hold
That's a gun right there. See it?
to contend with the desert, and to survive.
Getting shot. They're practicing because when they go to Africa, it's for real.
Some infantrymen had to dig this foxhole as a part of an extensive defensive position arrayed all along this ridge here. You can see hundreds of foxholes and other defensive positions, and it was all designed in a strategic way to command the heights over this valley that approaches Palin Pass.
The training by smaller units was expanded into larger division-size engagements. Ultimately, multiple divisions involving tens of thousands of men and their equipment would face off in the desert. Palin Pass maneuvers were like a dress rehearsal for the real combat in North Africa.
it was ideal for training.
First came the airplanes and strafed the hell out of it. Then the artillery shells began to cover the ground. And next came tanks rumbling into the pass, blasting away. And finally, streams of troops. There was so much dust and smoke up there, you wouldn't think anything could be alive for miles.
Patton left the DTC in November of 1942 to lead untested American forces in Operation Torch, a campaign to defeat Rome in North Africa.
Camp Young was the headquarters for General Patton's 3rd Armored Division. Camp Young was the 3rd Armored Division's main maneuvers area in training for tank warfare. Camp Young was active during the war and closed in 1944. War Department ordered Patton in March 1942 to create a desert training center in California. The goal was to prepare troops to battle North Africa to fight the Nazis. The 3rd Armored Division, 4th Corps Command Headquarters, and an engineer camouflage battalion were stationed at Camp Young. Troops trained at Camp Young and its subcamps before overseas deployment. Camp Young, 3,279 acres, was acquired from the Department of the Interior. South and west of Camp Young, 13 ranges were built for mortar and small caliber firearms. Camp Young received air support from the Shavers Army Airfield built in April 1943. The United States Army Air Force's 4th Air Force used the landing strip as a training base during World War II. The airstrip was used to support the Camp Young reconnaissance activities, and aircraft were used to coordinate tanks and other armored vehicles from the air.